In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the automation options in Maschine. I'm going to take a look at this group of sounds and just using the sounds that are present and a series of effects and automation, we're going to create our own build section. So I have this group loaded here. I've loaded something in from the Static Friction Maschine expansion pack. And we're going to look at this 8-bar section. We've got an 8-bar pattern happening in here. And how we can just use the sounds that are present in here and a series of effects and automation on those effects to create a breakdown or build section, and to demonstrate also that you don't necessarily need to start chucking effect sounds or uplifters or white noise sounds in there. You can create a similar feel and a similar effect just using some automation. And I also think the automation gets very powerful when you use similar automation on a number of different effects. So let's start by loading some effects in at the group level, and I'm going to start with perform effect, and I think the reso echo is going to sound quite cool in this situation, sweeping up the frequency, the wet level and the time. So that's going to sound quite cool, automated. And I think after that, if we go into, say, a high pass filter, change the mode to high pass, because as all that stuff is happening on the reso echo, it's sweeping up, the filter can then sweep out to a high pass, but then it's just going to leave it a little bit dry. You know, if it sweeps up there as a kind of build section. So I'm gonna, after the filter, I'm gonna add a reverb. It's the standard reverb. I'm gonna change the mode and have it quite a big reverb, like a hall verb, a bigger time, room size. And so that sounds horrible on that whole group of sounds. But when we automate it in, so that's just gonna have the mix at 0. We don't want the reverb on the group of sounds. But as we're filtering up, adding a bit of reverb makes things a little bit more atmospheric. And because we're probably affecting the overall level of the group here, why don't we slap a compressor on at the end just to control some of those more extreme dynamics that we might have to tweak once we put our automation in and we see how much gain we're adding or taking away in certain sections. So just to control some of those dynamics there, and we can come back to that compressor. So with the automation, this button here, we can write in automation just by holding this down, and then we can tweak, and if you check the software you can see the automation is happening. And that's all very well, holding it down and then doing your automations. Or if I go shift and undo that automation there, another way to quickly add various different automations and also not to have to worry about holding that auto button down is if I go shift and automation, it locks it, and then we can just start writing in various automation, and remember that we are in automation lock mode effectively. So if we forget that that's on and we start affecting other parameters, we're going to be writing it all in as automation. So with that on, I'm going to first start off with the reso echo using the touch strip to increase the frequency over this, say the second half of this 8-bar section, to build the energy and the tension a little bit. So that's the frequency rising up there, and now let's take a look and let's increase the echo time and wet level as we rise up. Okay, so now still in automation lock mode, let's go to this high pass filter, sweep that up. And so that kind of just sweeps everything out, so you get a slightly quieter section before the big drop. Let's add a bit of reverb to that then to make it more atmospheric. So we might need to go back in and edit some of that. You can see all the automation lanes that we've written in here. But effectively created an uplifter sound just using the sounds that are there and a combination of them. And if we could look at the compressor, and if we're thinking that the levels are getting too out of hand on our group, you know, it seems to be alright, but we can go back to the compressor and just compress by 1 or 2 dB if we think it's necessary. And there you go, you can see I've still in automation write mode, so I've written those compressor controls in as automation, which I don't want to do. So we can very quickly switch to software to get rid of automation lanes. I can just close them like this. Or if I wanted to get rid of all of that very quickly, I wanted to go again and rewrite it. All I need to do is shift, and then a lot of these pads turn into double function buttons. So if we go shift and pad 10 is clear auto. So shift and pad 10, and I've cleared all that automation in, and then I can go shift auto and I could start writing it in again. So some options there for ways we can write in automation in Maschine and also use it to create a very effective build sections.